What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life. Or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah!
I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Welcome back to the latest edition of Softball Digest.
No doubt.
I mean, it just
been
keeps
that
going.
way.
The whole USD Piv thing, melodrama, controversy, does end up being a great story because she's a great lady and she's the new head coach at USD, and so we'll get into that. I mean, last week it was talking about Greta getting hired at Minnesota from Augustana. And oh, by the way, Robert Wagner, he's out there. He's been living in South Dakota for 10 years. Augie would be a great job for a guy who just lost his job at USD. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So maybe next week we'll know who Augustana's coach is, and we'll have more Softball Digest. And that's okay.
It's that time of year. It's June, man.
It is. State softball going on. Trent Singer, Sioux Falls Live, will be covering that as it goes along. And we're at the Orion Pub in downtown Sioux Falls, just having another Thirsty
Cheers.
Thursday. Cheers. You have another hoppy refresher. That's a non-alcoholic. It's hoppy water, literally. It's mostly water, but it has like the citrus hops you would get in an IPA.
That's right. You can get it right here at Orion Pub. Best bar in Sioux Falls.
It is, and it's from Lagunitas, or as Harry Carey would call it, Lagunitas. And it's great and it's crisp, and it's what I drink when I'm not drinking, but I am drinking. I've got a Pabst Light today, which is very, very Pabst Light.
Yeah.
But I thought you had mentioned last week you were having one of these hoppy refreshers.
Yeah.
And you was like you were taking a break from the alcohol.
Yeah.
And
I've been drinking the Double Dude from Looks, which is hop water too.
Oh, okay. Great. And
kind of
but
my
you go to Lincoln. You said you would probably break the streak.
I
in
mean,
Lincoln.
I drank a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
You were down at the baseball regionals, the Jackrabbits and the Huskers, and I thought I saw maybe a little vodka tonic or something there as you were eating at Lead Belly.
I had it was a gin. It was like a gin drink.
Yeah.
It was really good though. At Lead Belly, man, great place. John's recommendations. You were 2 for 2 because we went to Hopcat too. You got those crack fries.
Yeah.
Or cosmic fries.
I thought,
Kind of crack fries.
They were originally called crack fries. I'm sure somebody got angry and wanted to change it because
it was
and
very
then they changed
cool.
it to meth fries. Like, no, you can't do that. So
You wanted
they
me
just go to.
You wanted me to get pictures. I was too enamored by looking around, and I walked in and they were playing a Pavement song, and I was immediately like, "This is my vibe."
There you go.
A little bit of a deep cut too, Grounded
of
off of
course.
Wowie Zowie, and I was like, I couldn't believe it.
But then they had
was
like the Beatles and Rolling Stones
yes,
and all kinds of stuff
on
all
the
over the
ceiling
walls.
they had these like panels.
Yeah.
Which was really cool.
kinda
My wife and I were taking it in. Food was great there too.
Good. Anything else?
Those are really the only 2 places we went to because then we went to the game.
Yeah,
I mean,
day trip.
Haymarket though.
Yeah.
What an awesome place to watch a game. We were just out in the outfield, sitting out there in center field, surrounded by a bunch of Husker fans. Ran into Mike Hendrickson. Hadn't seen him since maybe my first time ever freelancing for the Argus back in like 2018.
Oh wow!
But I still listen to Mike's show and everything, so it was cool to see Mike and it was a bunch of there was a pretty good Jacks contingency there. That was on hand, and
took up
the
a full
Husker fans
section.
The Husker fans treated him well.
Of course they did.
They did. I've heard different around that.
Husker fans are famous for giving standing ovations to opposing teams like Florida State and Penn State
The little
off
guys.
of the Memorial Stadium field when they get beat.
Yeah.
And like Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno famously what the hell?
Yeah.
We don't get why we've never seen that. We can't imagine that.
Great place to watch a game.
Okay.
And it was a good game, right? Jacks played really well against Nebraska. So
they did. It was a fun game to
Defensively.
watch. They had Nebraska on the ropes. We talked about that with Zim on Tuesday. We did the whole South Dakota State baseball where it goes from here thing with Zim on Nobody's Listening Anyway. But, yeah, I mean, that was a hell of a game to watch.
Yeah.
And they were, down 2-1, had the bases either juiced or 2 men on until Nebraska brought in a reliever, and that was it. But I'm glad you enjoyed your experience.
Well, I like the way Lincoln's set up. You can definitely tell everything is set up around these facilities with the way you can just park in that Haymarket area, walk across the bridge. You can get right to Pinnacle there. You can get over to Haymarket. I'm assuming there's like a area where you can kind of just walk over to the football stadium too from there, right? I mean,
not
or is
really.
that a little bit tougher?
Actually, yes, it's a long way, but you go underneath kind of the interstate on the other side of out toward left field.
Downtown kind of.
There is a way, but you go through the North Bottoms. You go through a neighborhood literally to get to the stadium. But yes, there's technically a way there. But yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you went. I'm glad you liked my recommendations.
The rain was perfect. We didn't get any rain up until that very the game. You know, it was dry, and then we got into Hopcat 8, and it just started pouring.
Oh,
and so then we got a little. Shower running back to the car.
Okay. Well, you're nice and wet on your drive home. Fantastic. We'll get our shirts out of the way. We always bring up our shirts here on Thirsty Thursday because Trent's the shirt meister. And I mean, like, how many damn shirts do you have?
Yes,
I've never seen this one. This is an MC Hammer shirt. Too legit to quit. It's not just MC Hammer. It is specifically, go ahead and stand up and show everybody.
Cordell.
God dang. I'm just so jealous.
So, well, a roommate, I think, outgrew this.
Yeah.
And I haven't. So I still wear it.
Yeah. Do you remember the video and the little too legit to the 2L?
Oh yeah.
Or no, 2L.
You gotta do it quick though.
And then quit. Yeah. Well, I'm not Hammer, so I'm not that quick. So I like the shirt. I'm just wearing a boring Hawaiian shirt that you happen to comment on.
I like it, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I bought this and about 4 other shirts for the trip to Palm Springs. You go to Palm Springs.
You gotta have something.
You gotta have some. You gotta,
flowery.
You gotta be a little flashing forward.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I didn't have enough. I had to get some nicer, like, golf shirts, Hawaiian shirts. You can be a little stylish when you're in Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah.
It's just when in Rome. All right, so look, we've got USHL expansion to talk about. Yeah, there's going to be a new team in the USHL. 4 new teams in the Stampedes Hockey League. It's a couple notes from State Track, which you have covered as well. But my God, yeah, the softball goes on. Shannon Pivovar, we had a lot about it yesterday. My reactions to the hiring, I think it was the right hire. I don't think it was a lazy hire. From everything I was able to glean from what happened after Robert Wagner took them to the best achievement that program's ever had. They got fired 2 or 3 days later. That it was a move that felt like had to be made, makes sense that it was made without getting into details. But so was the hiring of Shannon Pivovar. She was not any part of any problem there was there that got Robert Wagner dismissed. And in fact, she was, by all accounts, and now we kind of learned through John Schemmel's statements, and certainly illuminated through her, the way she likes to coach, who she is all about, both in her interview with us a couple weeks ago here on Happy Hour, and her chat with the media today, that this is the person for the job. This is a big reason why the Coyotes did improve. They did step on the gas down the stretch, and got a lot of great national notoriety for her, the way she coaches her players on a big stage like that. And now she gets to head the program.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going younger at that job is, I think, the way that a lot of programs kind of tend to lean really these days. I mean, and I sense that just in hearing some of her answers, the excitement about the opportunity, kind of, to me, in my opinion, and I maybe I'm reading between the lines and stuff, but it sounds like she was kind of the person all along, right?
Yeah.
And
that's
yeah, there was never really much doubt there. Awesome opportunity for her. I think my bigger takeaways from hearing everything she had to say was, some of the stuff that she's taken away from her mentors. There was a question that was asked about that, and I like how she, I'm sure that boded really well for her in terms of them making the decision. Like she has taken something away from each of her mentors and what they've done, and as a young coach, that's so valuable, right? These are learning experiences in that career endeavor as they are for players, to kind of learn from their coaches. And so I think, she talked about Wagner being a really smart guy and sometimes not fully understanding what was going on, but then it works out, and I've heard that from other softball players too, right? Like I think I talked with Kiera Lubavitch, I think might have been, or no, it was Andrea Kane, talking with her when we were previewing for Augustana's run in the regionals, and she was talking about some decisions she's not sure about it at times, and then she's like, wow, well, it worked, like.
Who's Andrea Kane?
Andrea Kane, a senior for Augie. She was a right fielder.
Yep, appreciate
sorry.
that. That's okay. So I just to expound exactly on what you're saying, this is a good chance to play what Piv said. Most people know by now, because she's become such a bigger name than the USD softball coach would be, considering her big viral moment in the NCAA tournament, the notoriety and recruiting interest that gained for USD softball in their first NCAA tournament trip. And then obviously 2 days later, Robert Wagner, his contract is not renewed, and everybody's WTF and all that. And we've all learned and now know, in case you didn't, Shannon Pivovar was an assistant coach at South Dakota State before she was the head coach at the University of Sioux Falls. And she 500 record at Sioux Falls, was dismissed, didn't have to do with wins and losses. In fact, I don't think she was ever really told why she got dismissed. And she talked about what she learned from that in this press conference today as well. But specifically with the Jacks and then the Yotes, the bookends from that USF head coaching experience, she learned from Krista Wood and from Robert Wagner. And in both cases, Shannon Pivovar, within a couple years of her arriving on both the Jacks and Yotes staffs, those teams were reaching their first ever NCAA tournament with her as part of the staff. So I think she had a lot to do with those, especially USD's, which is why she's now the coach. We're a big reason why. But here's what she learned from Krista Wood at SDSU and Robert Wagner at USD.
Every head coach is unique in their own ways, and we're all quirky, and we're all special. From Coach Wood specifically, she gave me my first chance in collegiate coaching, and so I'm forever grateful to her. She taught me what working hard behind the scenes looked like. She taught me how to recruit. She taught me like the X's and O's of everyday work and all of that, and she's a master softball mind as well. And so the things that I gleaned from her were immensely important in building the foundation of what I want. And so, like I said, I'm eternally grateful to Krista for taking a chance on me, for then taking a chance on me and taking me up to state with her. And we had a lot of really good experiences and memories. So she's just somebody that I very much admire and will always look to in that capacity. And then Coach Wags taught me, again, kind of back to it, but like, there has to be joy in the game, and you got to love what you're doing. And he gave me opportunities to be able to find that again. So from a personal standpoint, that's something that I will always thank him for, is that. He also is one of the smartest softball humans that I know, and there would be times that, he would make a substitution or do a pinch hit or call a play, and I'm like thinking in my head, okay, I don't know that I'm on the same wavelength as you are right now, but just seeing how those things played out and how that changed the trajectory of a game or an inning or a moment, a lot of those are things that I will think back on and try and keep in my back pocket as to why you want to make that move or what that means bigger picture to the game. Or like I said, there are no little things, and there were a lot of very simple base running, hitting, nitty-gritty kind of things that I will absolutely take from Coach Wagner. And so I appreciate everything that he did over the last 3 years to just kind of throw all of that my way so that I could be a sponge and learn all
I
of that too.
also found that, she said that her experiences at USF, which again, wasn't a disaster. And as I mentioned yesterday, it's kind of like the Jacks, Yotes, and USF, baseball and softball at their levels. You can't look too much into the record. Oh, if a coach has a losing record, you're playing your first 20, 30 games on the road because it's too cold up here. It's hard to recruit because it's too cold up here. and you're at a disadvantage competitively and recruiting wise because of that. Augustana not so much because they compete mostly against northern teams and they have first-class facilities, their own field to practice and play games on. USF doesn't have that. That's why I put USF in the mix. But anyway, she talked about her growth and maturity, which for any USD fan who deeply cared about her 4 games under 500 record at USF and figures that as underwhelming head coaching experience for a Division I position, I would send you to her talking about how she's grown and matured since then, based off some of these lessons she learned from both of these coaches, particularly recently with Robert. She should be a better head coach now because of all this.
100%.
Yeah.
I think
we should all get better at our jobs 4, 5, 6 years down the road.
Well, and you've talked about that viral moment, right? Where she's talking to that player there first. Who was it?
It was Katie Hoffman.
Katie Hoffman,
who had 5 hits all year. I'm
and
pretty
she
sure
got
the fewest on the
spot.
team.
Yeah. I mean, and I think in moments like that, you see like a tangible, as much as she could say in any interview for this job, that right there is almost a testament to that character building that you want to see from a coach. And I think that moment did wonders, just in terms of them knowing what direction they were going to go with. You have to assume, and I don't want to start assuming like whether or not, but like they won the Summit League with a losing record and got into the tournament and had Nebraska on the ropes. You have to assume that this coaching change was coming regardless, right?
I think, again, we don't know because John Schemmel hasn't agreed to interview publicly about this.
Yeah.
And therefore say why Robert Wagner was dismissed.
He'll never say it. I don't think he'll ever say it anyways.
And he did confirm to me that it was a non-contract renewal, which means he didn't have to have a reason for. That's not. It technically is a firing because he's no longer the coach, but it's not something where there needs to be cause. And they don't legally have to say anything why he's not the coach anymore. But back to your point. Yes, from the dots I can connect, I feel safe in saying that the program, as all athletic programs should be by their athletic director, was closely evaluated. He knew what was going on within it, and and I think he had already seen a body of evidence that they needed to change at head coach, and that B, there was a big body of evidence that Shannon Pivovar was certainly one of the people, and she ended up being the person to replace that coach. She had been recruiting coordinator. She recruited all these kids from Nebraska that played a huge part in their success. If she didn't recruit Madison Evans, which was the number one player reason why they went on this big tear, the pitcher, Madison Evans, Shannon was the pitching coach as well. That's the most important position in softball. And in our interview with Shannon a couple weeks ago, she dove into how Madison Evans just all of a sudden started to blossom into this, I think, power 4 level pitcher down the stretch to the point where she stymied Nebraska, for God's sakes, the number 1 team for 6 innings.
Yeah.
Piv had a lot to do with that. So I think to your point, that's a long way of saying, yes, it kind of felt like this wasn't, for anybody who thought, well, we got to hire her because she had the viral moment and we got a lot of momentum in the program now because of that big moment.
It was already a foregone conclusion, I think.
Yes. Certainly is what it feels like.
And like I said, easy to assume that. Maybe something arose up, and maybe you'll get the chance to ask John that.
Maybe.
If you get the chance.
Maybe.
But, I don't think any AD is going to outright say that was a decision that they were going to make anyways, and I don't know if you're going to get much out of him. And it's interesting too because she's like getting right into this. Like she's going to be in a whirlwind here of recruiting to get ready for this. And I expect her to be like so busy here as summer ball's kicking in and everything too. Trying to retain players. I know she mentioned that towards the end of that presser too. There is no problem with retaining right now.
Well, this is the series of questions I asked her about. What we all think about once there's a coaching change that gets made,
especially these days,
and what makes it more interesting when you retain a coach from the staff to take over, which Montana football just did, which is what USD football has done twice in a row with Nielsen's retirement or forced retirement, whatever, depending on who you are, what you believe. And then Travis Johansson to Matt Vitztham, Stiegelmeier to Jimmy Rogers. Dan Jackson came from the outside, but he was a Jackrabbit football family guy.
Familiar.
Is the ability to retain players and the importance of that. Anyway, here's me asking Shannon about what she can tell us about that.
It sounds like you got a lot coming back. Can you tell us how many current players that are eligible to play next year that were on the roster this year jumped in the portal, and how many have solidly committed to coming back?
I can tell you that there's a little bit of fluctuation, but that we have the core of our team returning. There's a couple days here that they have before they have to be in the portal. And so we have a couple kids who we knew even before I was named head coach, were planning to go into the portal. And so those are kids that are kind of on the fence that we're hoping stick with us, but we also understand, like, there's got to be a good fit and it's got to be right for them. And their decisions were not driven by this. Their decisions were driven by more personal kind of things. So those are ones that we hope to keep on our side, keep on the good side.
Okay. I guess I'll specifically ask about Madison Evans. Do you know what's happening there?
I can't talk on that.
Okay. What about commits, players that were committed to coming to play softball next year? What kind of, what can you tell us about if they are still committed?
I can tell you we have a 100% retention rate, John.
Okay.
We are good. We are good. They're excited. I've connected with everybody. Obviously can't speak like individually on that, but the kids that are coming in, they're still excited to be Coyotes. So we're through the roof thrilled that has all lined up too.
So there you go. The back end of that is, she said, the momentum from her viral moment and the Summit League tournament title and the NCAA appearance, which it was strong. From what she was told, that was almost not a part of the discussion. It was her body of work all along that got her the job. So.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the big picture of this program too, is like regardless of them making this run, they were still a losing team. And I know they took a step too, right? They got close last year. They took another step this year. Regardless, you're still a losing team. Like, if you want to sustain a program, you can't just have one-off flukes in the Summit League tournament. Yes. You have to be a program that is continuously winning. And so, the coaching change here going to Shannon Pivovar, I think, is a sign that they want to be a consistently good team in softball in the Summit League. And in order to do that, you have to do it year in, year out. And I think, finding a good young coach is always a good way to go.
Well, and we're not, we will be able to look it up. You can look publicly up what coaches make. But if I were a betting man before I looked this up, before it's revealed, she probably comes at less expense than Robert Wagner did.
Probably.
As a guy in his 50s with a lot more experience head coaching and in the game. Mm-hmm. Not sure about that. And I don't know if that played a factor in this decision at all. We also don't know who the other candidates were, how serious of a national search it was. She did say that she was not told right away, you're going to get it, just wait. We have to publicly do a quote-unquote national search. She said she liked how they told her that, and that she was not really updated throughout the process until she was told she got the job. But she liked that they went and tried to find, see what else was out there. Certainly feels very grateful it landed back at her. And so I've read comments from people that said, well, no one wants to come to Vermilion and coach in Vermilion. No, it's a Division I softball
Division I
job.
school,
Give me
man.
a break.
Yeah,
there were plenty of people that I'm sure applied. Moving right along, by the way, we're going to post that, if you're audio-wise, Happy Hour with John Gaskins on the podcast pages, on the Happy Hour with John Gaskins podcast page at SiouxFallsLive.com, the full press conference, if you want to hear everything what Piv had to say today. It was almost entirely... Okay, you'll be able to see it in the article at Sioux Falls Live because this was almost entirely, I should say, Matt Zimmer and I asking questions. So it's basically a Sioux Falls Live interview with
I showed
Shannon
up a little
Pivovar.
late.
Yes. One interesting tidbit, you were there too. A little late. And I thank you for that, so we could talk about it now. And one question was asked when the athletic director's name was brought up, and anything, and more so, anything. It was obvious anything regarding the former coach was not going to be answered today.
Yeah.
And it did not come. The question did not come from me, but that was shot down. So that was interesting. Yeah. All right, moving right along. So, tell us about this USHL expansion.
Yeah, they're adding. I believe it's 4 teams that they're looking to add. They're going to the West Coast. The footprint for the current setup for the USHL, 16 teams. It's pretty much all Midwestern states, right? Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin. I know Ohio's in there, South Dakota, obviously, Nebraska. I don't think Minnesota has a team. Is that right?
No, they don't.
That's kind of wild to me. Anyways, they're looking to expand west, and I think the bigger takeaway here is, we're about to see a big change in the hockey development landscape, just with the new 5-and-5 rule. It sounds like they're not really going to consider what amazingly 63 college coaches have all signed on saying they don't want this. And it sounds like it's not going to be considered at all, and they're just going to move forward with this, and it's going to completely change the development process. I mean, I think high school hockey is going to take a massive hit here, but naturally, what's happening here is junior hockey is going to become younger, and so they're moving out west. If you've paid attention to hockey, there have been a lot of players who have come through. From Western states. I believe Cooper Soller this year, who was the Rookie of the Year in the USHL, played for the Stampede. He's from Los Angeles. There are guys who have come from Western states that have gone on to play in college hockey. Obviously, Arizona State started a Division I program. And I think the natural progression is to allow more opportunities for these players at Tier 1 programs out in the West. So it's a really interesting opportunity and endeavor, really. A lot of this is NHL backing, too. You're seeing these teams that are getting financial support and help from NHL teams to kind of upstart and help. This is an expensive sport. So that's been key, and I think that's going to be a new model moving forward for USHL teams. I think in Sioux Falls, we don't understand, maybe what some of these other USHL organizations have to deal with financially, because Sioux Falls is so well run. We have one of the most well run junior hockey teams in North America and in the United States, maybe the most well run in the United States, right here in Sioux Falls. Yeah. And you go down to Tri-City, you go down to some of these other smaller towns in the USHL. Waterloo struggles a little bit from time to time. If you're not winning, they draw these crowds are abysmal. And even when the Stampede aren't winning, they have pretty good crowds. Right. Night in, night out. It's kind of the place to go.
Well, it's a wonderful, favorable business model for an ownership group. Not paying players. Yep. It's just what a great investment that is. I don't know how well all these guys do on the bottom line, but when you're in a place like Sioux Falls, you're not paying the players. Mm-hmm. It's just whatever overhead it takes to have a hockey team and field games and field teams. Yep. And there's no plane flights. I think everything's bust.
100%.
And you're drawing. I mean, I think the average technically was 5,000 a game. I don't know if that's all entirely.
Yeah, it's like for Stampede. Yeah,
for Stampede,
right up there.
Wow, you are over in 5,000. The dough, but I guess for any team that's new or doesn't get a lot of fans, you're still doing okay. Yeah, because you're not paying the players. So was there a demand, a need for more teams? Is that why we have more? We're going to get more.
Another reason here too, it's not so much demand. It's the USHL trying to be. So the USHL, what they're running into right now is losing a lot of players to the CHL, which is Major Junior Hockey in Canada, Canadian Hockey League. And so I think this is to help try to reinforce for players to stay and play in the United States. I mean, you have great opportunities here. This league is proven to send people off to the next level continuously. Austin Matthews played in this league. Jake Gensel, Jacob Slavin. Those are 3 guys that were on the Olympic team. Yeah. The list goes on and on. There's other guys all throughout. I think that the number is around 25% of players have played in the USHL who are now in the NHL. Okay. So the USHL has been a great launching pad for a lot of players, and I think the bigger focus here is to try to reinforce stability in American junior hockey rather than players getting the opportunity to leave and go play in the CHL maybe for 1 or 2 years before they make that jump to college. Now, that being said, that's what's crazy about this whole thing is, college hockey is going to become much more younger. Right now, with this new 5-and-5 rule, players who graduated this year, the clock starts now. So their freshman year is now. Augie has a guy coming in, Tyden Bergeson. When he comes in, I mean, from my understanding from this rule, he'll be a sophomore if he comes in next season, which is when he's expected to come in. So it changes a lot in that. Players who are already playing on USHL teams, I believe, from my talks with Ryan Carruthers and some other people, are grandfathered in. So, their clock doesn't start until they actually arrive on campus because of that rule change.
Seems fair.
Yeah, seems fair. Right, and then I think that's the bigger thing too. And Brad Schlossman wrote something about it. I encourage people to go read it about basically the main pitfall right now for those years of players coming in right now. They're being kind of left, right? They're just being forgotten. And I know it's certainly a challenge because all of this is built. This 5-and-5 rule is built around basketball and football, and sports like hockey are just. The arguments don't matter to the people who are making these decisions. Yeah. So it's going to change the model, drastically.
Interesting.
And
filters all the way down to here. And
I think
Sioux Falls Stampede.
There's going to be some reporting here in the summer from some people here in the Forum Properties. I know my podcast co-host on this Reporters Corner, Jared Rubedo, is cooking on a little something about how this impacts high school, because I think that's the bigger thing that this impacts. And we know. Here Sioux Falls, we've seen it. I think across the country, we've seen how big high school hockey is in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And if it affects that, that won't be taken lightly by people in Minnesota. I know that. The USHL doesn't have a footprint in Minnesota right now, so it's really interesting in that regard too.
It probably makes sense that they don't, because I don't know if it's needed, just because of the high level of high school hockey that gets played there, right?
I mean, it's that. You have some NOL teams that are there.
What? Huh?
North American Hockey League. We've got teams in Aberdeen that play in the NOL, in Watertown as well. There's other junior hockey teams here in South Dakota that play, and that's Tier 2, just a tier below USHL hockey. Okay. So it's still a good development path. I mean, Augie recruits a lot of guys from the NOL, and then you've got the minor junior leagues, and they're going to be affected by a lot of these rules too in Canada. So it's just a crazy. We're about to see some drastic changes in just the hockey landscape. And it's gonna filter into the lower pro ranks too. I mean, those teams are gonna become younger too. I think a lot of people who are making these rules don't understand that not many NHL teams want you before the age of like 24 or 25. And that is unique to that sport. Sure. You don't find that in a lot of other sports. So. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, and I'm really curious to see. I mean, it's always good, right? The USHL expanding and getting bigger and having more competition. It's going to just create better competition. So
absolutely. Hey, give me a second. Just a couple more minutes with stuff. He's not. I thought he's back there. Still got a beer truck coming? Yep, you're good. Okay, Thomas, co-owner of Orion, says we're good. We can stay just a little bit longer.
Okay, good.
The beer, because the people that come here need beer to drink.
Yeah.
And so not Trent though.
I mean, hot water.
Yeah. So and the beer trucks come usually during the time that we're taping this show on Thirsty Thursday. So Thomas still has to be here, so we can be here. That's good. So state track. You wrote a story about it. It was last week. It was all day. So much happens. It's so hard to keep track of.
God, there's so much going on.
You wrote an article, SiouxFallsLive.com. But the Lincoln High School track and field team continues to dominate. So does Sioux Falls Christian.
Sioux Falls Christian, boys and girls.
Boys and girls.
I think like 5 and 6. They years in a row. Both those programs.
Brody Schaefer, the future Jackrabbit quarterback, and the man who Curtis Riggs considers the greatest high school football quarterback in the state's history, having not yet played his senior season. Interesting, he wasn't competing.
Yeah, I don't think he competed. He was there.
Yeah,
saw him.
Which is interesting. Well, next time I get a hold of Jared Fredenberg, I'll find out Why? Because he had been part of some state championship relay teams, and he's a hell of an athlete, which you can always see when he plays quarterback and point guard.
Yeah. I think Lucas Honor, he's a tight end, right? For Lincoln.
Yeah, really good one.
He'll be a senior next year, I'm pretty sure. He set a state record in the javelin throw.
Okay.
That was certainly a standout for that Lincoln team. But, yeah, Lincoln's dominance. I mean, I think that was the bigger takeaway for me. Yeah. I think they set a new meet record, 178 points. They were down going into the final day, too. Like, Brandon Valley was leading them, and then, you have all your relays and your sprints and, then some field events, and sure enough, they're climbing the rankings and back where they were.
And this is boys, and this is boys A, the highest level. Top of your head, this is a quiz, I guess, for you. Like, who are the top 4 or 5 teams, team-wise?
Brandon Valley was 2, I believe.
Okay.
Man, okay, you're putting me on the spot here. I can look it up quick.
Okay, well, while you do that, I'll start with this. Lincoln and
Harrisburg was 3rd.
Harrisburg was 3rd.
Yep.
Okay. I say that because you're looking at, when you think football and basketball, Lincoln and Brandon Valley have played in each of the last 2 state championship games. Lincoln's basketball team basically #1 most of the year, each of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Didn't win the state title, but they had the team to beat all year. And Brandon Valley, they won football last year, and then the spring before that, or the winter before that, the boys won the state championship in basketball. See what I'm getting to here?
Well,
it's like, wow. To have a great football or basketball team, it helps to have really good athletes, and a lot of the best athletes are in track, which is a pure measurement of athletics.
And not every one of them, though, right? Their best player, Sam DeGroat, didn't play in basketball.
True.
He didn't compete in track. But I will say this, one thing that stands out when I was talking with Jim Jarofsky, who's been there for, I think, 2 decades
at
now.
Lincoln.
At Lincoln as their head coach. And it's participation. It's just the amount of people. You can move people around and get so many numbers. It's all about points too, right? Like winning a team state championship is all about accumulating as many points as you can. And so they have participation numbers in their track program that's unlike any other in the state. And I think that's the main reason why they're able to replicate success and continue. There's enthusiasm within that program. I think he said they had over 200 kids in their track program. That is insane. That is, a massive, massive team. They're going on to compete. I know they're 4x200 and 4x400 teams, which both set records this year. Outstanding 400 runners, and I marvel at watching that event. That's what I ran in high school, and it's one of the hardest races to run. They're going to go compete at the Eugene Nike Nationals here, and I believe that's Javon Halkus, Isaac Herbold, Zion Conrad, and then Evan Abold. I believe Abold was the 400 champion this year. They're going to go compete out there in Eugene, and that's a really cool opportunity. I know they're trying to. I think it's on June 18th that they're going up there to compete in nationals, and so they're trying to get some money and some fundraising and stuff. And I think that's a really awesome, unique opportunity for some South Dakota high school runners to go to the national stage and represent the state.
Yeah, I'm just and I thank you for all that. I was getting back to the great athletes, great football and basketball teams here at the highest level for boys. When you think of Brody Schaefer, obviously that's Landon Delaney. He was the fastest. Him and Brody Schaefer were like the 2 fastest guys in the state. And Landon was a huge part of the basketball state championship team. And he was obviously maybe the best receiver or the most dangerous receiver in the state when he's playing football on a team that was state runner-up. There's countless examples. Like that. I was trying to think of a bunch in my head, but
Jack Smith.
Thank you, Jack Smith. Griffin Wilde.
Yeah.
Come on. Trackster, burner.
Yep.
So it just the more of those fast guys, the merrier, and then the strong guys. Sometimes the linemen are shot put guys and stuff like that, and tends to help. So. By the way, Hudson Parliament, not on the track team, but about to go to Iowa, maybe the best all-around football player South Dakota has ever seen, certainly lineman. He was a state powerlifting champion. So sports, multiple sports does still work.
Oh, yeah.
In a day and age where we get so obsessed with specialization.
Most coaches are going to tell you to do that, too. Go run track. Yes, absolutely. They should.
Certainly
The
publicly,
good
they all
ones
tell
will.
us that's what they encourage.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then state softball.
Going on right now.
Is going on right now. Trent will have coverage this week on Sioux Falls Live. Jefferson is the defending state champ. Of course, their football defensive coordinator, Ed Whiting, led the Cavs to a state title last year. And good luck to everybody there at Bolin Stadium.
Bowden. God, we went over this before.
I know. Well, that was like 45 minutes ago. Augustana is Bowden with a D.
Yep.
It looks like Bowden.
Yep.
B-O-W-D-E-N.
Yep.
Nebraska. Jordy Fromm, Bolin.
Yep.
As in you're going Bolin without the G. Bolin. Yes.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's all 8 teams from last year's softball tournament. So, kind of carrying over from a year ago. I think Jefferson comes into this winning 30 straight. They won this morning, so make it 31. I gotta call out Macy Bryant. She's a South Dakota State recruit. When I'm going through the numbers, putting together the preview yesterday, I could not believe. I've seen some crazy batting numbers from high school softball players in my day, but she's hitting .828 on the season, which is just unheard of. I don't even know how you do that. 72 plate appearances too. It's not like she's, I think she might lead the team in plate appearances, and she's hitting .828. Which is
absurd.
Astonishing. And Taya Devericks is a great pitcher for them too. I think she hit a home run today. They won 3-0 in their first game, and then Roosevelt mild upset beat Brandon Valley 5-1 in the second game, and I think the third game's getting underway here now. So. 828. Unreal, man.
Gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's got to check national statistics for that.
That's crazy.
How can anybody get near that?
It's got to be All-American numbers, right?
I would think so. Well, there's plenty coming down the pike. It feels like in June, hey, local sports stops. No, it doesn't. SiouxFallsLive.com. Matt Zimmer has the latest South Dakota State football story is about their schedule. He breaks it down, something we've discussed and how it lays out on Happy Hour within the last couple of weeks. But Matt goes through the opponents. And as I've mentioned before, Dan Jackson likes it because his bye week comes right in the middle of the season.
Yep.
6 games before, 6 games after.
Is that what it was last year, too?
I don't know, but
it was like around there.
Yeah, it was around mid-season.
Yeah.
And also, all their tough games, their toughest opponents, there's a buffer before. There's no back-to-back like, oh my gosh, this is murderer's row.
Yeah.
Their toughest opponents come after either a bye week, the literal bye week, or after they play a team they should blow out and take the reserves out, early in the second half.
What's their bye game?
And,
Northwestern?
Their bye game?
Their money game.
Oh, their money game is Northwestern.
Yeah.
Game 2. And they get they get the lowest rated Sangren team, like statistically the worst FCS team. I think it's Stetson, something like that, which just rounded out their schedule as the game leading into Northwestern. It's an example of they get a warm-up before their biggest games. It's, in my opinion, a very favorable schedule for the Jacks this year. Matt Zimmer breaks it down at SiouxFallsLive.com. And
$500K, I think, is what they're getting for Northwestern.
I think you're right. By the way, for those consuming the full show, audio and video, we now bring you into our guest, which I, of course, forgot to promote right off the top. Kind of a good one. His name is Eric Musselman. Does that name ring a bell?
What? You did this last week, too, with Kayla DeBoer.
Yeah.
Just Kayla DeBoer.
Yeah, the article headline says it.
He's just ready.
It's because I am so excited to talk to you. But man, Eric I'll just say this. I felt pretty good about jogging here 1.5 miles from my apartment and then walking back home and feeling like I got some good steps in for the day.
Yeah.
This man runs and walks 10 miles a day.
Jeez.
And lifts weights for an hour a day. No wonder he takes his shirt off anytime Arkansas or Nevada
Did you
wins
talk to him about this?
I did,
okay,
yes.
Good.
Of course I did.
Awesome.
Toward the end, we also talked about how, his school pillaged for lots of money the USD's best player and the Summit League's leading scorer, and we get the story behind that, too.
Cool.
So, without further ado, cheers.
Cheers, sir.
For video producer Cordell Wright and Trent Singer and Thomas from the Orion. Happy Hour.